Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. In this video, we're going to be going over what are the best IVs for PvP in Pokemon Go. Now, recently, I did make a video going over why bad IVs are better than good IVs in PvP, but unfortunately, I did leave a couple of important factors out. So in this video, we're also going to be going over some of that stuff, and then we're also going to re-explain everything to give you guys a better and clear understanding of how everything kind of fits together. But before we go ahead and get started, if you guys do enjoy this video and like this type of content, make sure to hit that like button down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button as well for more Pokemon Go content. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So in the last video, we went over IVs, base stats, the CP formula, and level potential in regards to how everything factors into PvP. Now, unfortunately though, I did leave a few factors out that do make a big difference in why all of this even matters. The first one being is that PvP is based off a TDO system rather than a DPS system. For those of you guys who don't know what that means, TDO stands for total damage output, and DPS stands for damage per second. Now, normally DPS is generally what you want. For example, in raid battles, you want to have a Pokemon like Moltres that has high DPS so it can take down the raid boss in the fastest given time. Now, this is not the case though for PvP because you actually want to be able to survive your opponent for the longest amount of time. So therefore, total damage output is more important because you want to have that survivability factor where you're just tanking, and you're ultimately dealing out more damage that way. And so keeping that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the IV portion of all this and sort of how everything factors together. So now normally in a given raid scenario, you would want a Pokemon with perfect IVs, right? 15 attack, 15 defense, 15 stamina, so you can do the most damage per second. And now on the other hand, for PvP, you want to have a Pokemon that does the most damage and survives the longest, right? Total damage output. And so the ideal IVs that you would want are going to be 0 attack, 15 defense, and 15 stamina. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering why 0 attack, right? Now, the reason why you want to actually have the attack stat super low is because this actually influences the CP formula dramatically compared to the other two. Therefore, in a given situation where you want to have the most total damage output, you want to have high defense and high stamina, right? Because you want to survive a long time. And if you don't have a high attack stat, not only is it going to bring down the CP of a Pokemon, it's going to allow you to level it up a little bit more and therefore increase your stamina and increase your defense stat. This will ultimately be the key to surviving the longest and then dealing the most damage because you're sacrificing a small amount of attack to give you a big boost in stamina and defense. And we'll go ahead and go over a couple of examples later on in the video that kind of demonstrates this better, but essentially what you want is you want to have a low attack stat, a high defense stat, and a high stamina stat. Therefore, you can actually maximize your CP and you can get closer to that CP limit while also being able to tank longer and deal more damage in the long run. So that is essentially why you want to have those IVs, and those are going to be the best IVs in most cases for PvP. But let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of examples right now that kind of demonstrate this a little bit better. So let's go ahead and look at Tyranitar once again. However, this time we're going to look at Tyranitar in the Great League. Now, I was able to get a hold of a Great League PvP calculator that was made by King Iv. Some of you guys may know him. There will be a link in the description that you guys can actually copy this document and then kind of run your own simulations if you would like to. Again, credit does go out to him. He did make this from what I know. Anyways, though, let's go ahead and dive into this right now to put everything into perspective. So let's go ahead and start off with a 100% IV Tyranitar. Like I said, this is going to be in the Great League. So 100% IV Tyranitar, 15, 15, 15, level 13.5. It caps out at 1479 CP, and its stats are going to be 131 attack, 109 defense, and 118 stamina. And its total product is going to be 1.67 million, right? That's how much damage it is going to be able to do. And now let's go ahead and take a look at an example of a Tyranitar with 0% IVs, right? So similar to the comparison that we did in the last video, although this one does have different results because it's not the same CP. Again, the CP getting close to that limit does make a big difference. So this Tyranitar is level 15.5, 2 levels higher than the 100% IV Tyranitar, and it caps out at 1498 CP. Its attack stat is going to be 132, its defense stat is going to be 109, and its stamina stat is going to be 118, and its total product is going to be 1.7 million on the dot. And now I'm sure some of you guys can already see the clear differences here, right? You know, the CP is a little bit higher on the 0% IV, right? 1498 compared to 1479. Its attack is only 1 higher, right? But its defense and stamina are actually the same, which I thought was rather interesting. But of course, the ultimate result is going to be comparing it to 1.676 to 1.7 million, right? Because that's a 2400 difference, or 24 34,000 difference in this case, which is a lot. That is definitely a lot. So in this scenario specifically, 0% IV is going to be better than 100% IV, right? And this is all factored in with everything I kind of talked about in the last video, as well as what I went over in this video. So I hope that kind of puts it into perspective, but we're not done yet. We're going to go over a couple of other examples to give you guys a better understanding right now. So the next ones I want to go over right now are going to be the 0, 15, 15, 15, 15, 0, and then 15, 0, 15 IVs for the Tyranitar specifically. And now the first one that I want to go over right now is the one that we had already talked about previously in this video, right? We're going to be going over 0, 15, 15. This is essentially the best IV Tyranitar that you can have in this situation. It's going to be a level 14.5, 1499 CP, so only 1 CP away from the limit. Its attack is going to be 128, its defense is going to be 113, and its stamina is going to be 122. So there's a big difference there compared to the perfect IV, right? Its attack is a little bit lower, but its defense and stamina are slightly higher, therefore it's going to survive a little bit longer. And of course, looking at the most important part is going to be the product, right? It's 1.76 million, which is almost 100,000 higher than the perfect IV, so I mean, you can see the clear difference on how much more damage you are going to get out, you know, because it's total damage output. And therefore, that is why it makes the biggest difference. Now, let's also go ahead and look at the 15-15-0 scenario, as well as the 15-0-15. Now, looking at the 15-15-0, it is going to be level 14, 1485 CP, its attack is going to be 133, defense at 111, and stamina at 112. And its product is going to be 1.659 million. So, unfortunately, it really isn't that high. It's actually one of the lowest in these scenarios. And so because the attack stat is so high on this one and it has 0 stamina, I mean, honestly, you're not going to be able to survive as long as your opponents will, mainly because your stamina stat is so low, right? Even having the hundo at this point would be better than this scenario. Now, the next one that I want to go over is going to be the 15 attack, 0 defense, and 15 stamina. Now, this one is also going to be level 14, 1481 CP, so slightly lower, 133 attack, 103 defense, and then 120 stamina. Now, this one actually does worse because of its defense stat, right? So it just does not have any defense compared to the other two. And so again, this combination definitely suffers because of the high attack stat and then not having any defense to back you up. And so comparing all these three together, you can definitely see why, you know, 0, 15, 15 is going to be your best IV, because not only do you bring down your CP by not having that attack super high, you're able to get it at level 14.5 compared to level 14, and have it super close to that CP limit, right? It's only 1 away. And again, this is only on this specific example, but again, you're doing 1.76 million of damage, whereas if your Pokemon is lacking in defense or stamina, you're going to suffer dramatically because of it. So you can sacrifice attack, but you cannot afford to sacrifice defense and stamina. Those two components are incredibly important for PvP because of total damage output. And now I do actually have one last scenario that I want to go over right now, and it's going to be 9 attack, 15 defense, and 15 stamina. So this is sort of an in-between, right? So this one is going to be at level 14, 1499 CP, so only 1 CP away from that limit. Its attack is going to be 130, defense at 111, and stamina at 120. And its total product is going to be 1.73 million. So right away you can compare this to the one where it's 0, 15, 15, right? So you can see that because it is half a level lower, its defense and stamina are slightly lower as well, although because its attack stat is a little bit higher, it does have more of a boost in attack. But this kind of goes to show why 0, 15, 15 is better, and rather, you know, even if you have a Pokemon that does have, you know, like 8 attack, but it does have 15 defense and stamina, that can still work out pretty well in your favor. And so ideally what you want to have, like I previously mentioned earlier on in the video, is you want to have a Pokemon that has 0 attack, or the lowest attack possible, and then 15 defense and 15 stamina. That is going to be the key to succeeding in PvP and just dominating all of your opponents. And so with that being said, I hope all this did make sense to you guys. I know I left out a couple of these factors in the last video, and so I do hope that I corrected everything that I needed to, and you guys do have a clear understanding of how all this works. So with that being said, that is pretty much going to do it for this video. So if you guys did enjoy it and found it helpful, feel free to hit that like button down below. As always, I'd really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more Pokemon Go content, make sure to hit that subscribe button for future videos. And I will see you all real soon in the next one.